Hello and welcome to BeeBooks. I am Deborah and this is my face after being up all night watching the Oscars from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, details. Anyway, I'm so excited today because I'm going to film for you my very first wrap-up. So this should have been my January and February wrap-up. But I see now that I read quite a few books, so I've decided to split this video in two parts. This one will be my January wrap-up. In the next part, I'm going to talk about my February readings. Before starting, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet, and click the bell button to stay updated with my contents. And then I'll be more than happy if you follow me on my social media. I leave in the description box below the link to my Instagram, Goodreads and Twitter accounts. I'm so grateful for your support and I thank you with all my heart. But now really, let's start. The first book I read in the 2019 was Give the Dark My Love by Beth Revis. And I was fascinated by this book because it talks about specific kind of magic that I'm really interested in. It's necromancy. I didn't have many expectations, but this book turned out to be a very good story. We follow the adventures of Nedra, who's not the typical badass young adult protagonist with many virtuous qualities. She is actually an anti-hero. Nedra is ambitious. She leaves her small rural village in the north of the lunar island where our story is set to attend the most prestigious academy of the island, the Jugend Academy, and she is willing to do everything to protect not only the one she loves the most, but also thousands of innocent people. And we follow her descent into darkness. I really enjoy the politics in this book. The lunar island is under the power of the Empire, but here there is an awful plague spreading with hundreds of victims, and the Empire is not interested in resolve this problem as long as it is far from its coasts. I think that this general setting is very interesting, but it's not thoroughly treated. I needed to know and understand more, and this problem for me is connected with Grigory's points of view. Grigory is the male protagonist of this book, and he comes from a very problematic family. His father has an high political position and he wants for his son to follow his model. On the other hand, Grigory's mother is the typical stereotype of a noble woman who's too busy throwing parties to take care of her son. And his family, as I've said before, is connected with the political situation, and it feels like that in this book we reach only the point of the iceberg. I think that Grigory's points of view are not so consistent, but at the same time I think it's right because this is not his story. Give the Dark My Love is Nedra's story. I'm sure that in the next book the author will give us more information about the tension between the lunar island and the Empire because it's too important. Another thing that I didn't really like is the love interest. I think that it's necessary for the plot, but at the same time, in my opinion, it develops a little too fast and for me not quite believable. But yeah, it didn't bother me so much. I really enjoyed this reading and I can't wait to read the second and last book of this series. Talking about anti-heroes, then I've read God's Grave by J. Christoph. It's the second book in the Nevernight Chronicles. I was very lucky. I found this first signed copy on Book Depository and I'm more than happy because this is one of my favorite series so far. I'm not going to talk about the plot in this case because this book is all about action and plot twists. I mean it, guys, you won't be serene from the first pages to the very end. There won't be peace until the very last word. I warned you, but let me tell you this. J. Christoph is an amazing writer. His settings, story and characters are always on point. For those of you who don't know it, the Nevernight Chronicles inspired by the Roman history and the history of Venice in Italy, and this time we are like in the middle of gladiator fights. Mia, the protagonist, is at her best. She is ruthless, determined, tough, but at the same time she's still compassionate, and she loves in a passionate way her family, her friends, and everyone who deserves it. but I'm not saying more because I really don't want to make spoilers. This book is killer. The intrigues behind it are terrific, really. Even I can't wait to have Dark Dawn in my hands. I need to read that book. If I have to say one negative thing of this book is that J. Kristoff's writing style is not so easy. Initially, it could be a little difficult to get into the story because the writing style is quite complex and I should say a little heavy, but if you get through the first pages, I guarantee that this story will blow your minds. I'm going to show you The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, and this is so good, guys. I'm so excited. Even in this case, I can't say a lot about the plot because I don't want to ruin it. Every element is connected to each other and I want you to enjoy the story every step of the way. This circus will capture you, I'm sure of that. So yes, the story is a slow burn. It develops slowly, but the author writing styles is flawless. In some parts, it's also moving. It's so good, really. It's definitely not boring. I've already said that in one of my videos. This book is 600 pages long and I've read it in a day. Again, it's definitely not boring. The characters are amazing and they are all charming, especially for me, Celia Bowen, the female protagonist, the illusionist, is something else, is great. The next one is Lost Sisters by Holly Black. This is the novella you should read between the Cruel Prince and the Wicked King, and it's from Tarin's point of view. Tarin is Jude's twin sister, the female protagonist of The Cruel Prince, if you haven't read it, and I didn't like this novella, I'm sorry, but the main problem for me is that I hate Tarin. Well, maybe hate is a strong word, but what I feel for her is quite close. This novella should explain her actions to us, but I still can't understand her. I still can't relate to her. So only for this reason, this novella for me is a no. But then of course I've read The Wicked King by Holly Black. So I have preferred this book to The Cruel Prince, and that's because there are so many political intrigues and schemes, and I really like these parts in Holly Black's world. You can easily find many reviews and thoughts on this series, so I'm going to tell you only a couple of things. I'm not 100% sure that I'm okay with Cardan. I understand why people love him so much. He's definitely charming, but I don't know if I can forget how cruel and awful he is with Jude. He's definitely not a positive example of male. But yeah, I'm not judging yet. I'll wait for the third and last book of the series. On the other hand, I love Jude. She's one of my favorite female protagonists. She's so strong and clever. I was so hungry for her, and the end is so annoying. I was so angry. I need Queen of Nothing now. I need to know what's going to happen next. I'm sure that Cardan has a plan. I'm not sure she will wait patiently while he's plotting his schemes. I'm sure she will fight, and I can't wait to know, guys. But yeah, let's not think about this end because it's still a soft spot. But moving on with the wrap-up, the next book I'll show you is Evermore by Sarah Holland, and it's the second and last book in the series. So this is the biggest January disappointment for me. I really enjoyed the first one, Everless, but yeah, again, this is not good for me. The plot itself, it's weak. There is a fast and confusing ending that wasn't satisfying at all. Jude, the female protagonist, should be powerful, however she does stupid things from the beginning to the end. Even the love interest is weak and honestly is unbelievable, and the time theme that was so interesting in the first book and was my favorite part is not so present, and it was really disappointing. For those of you who haven't read Everless, in this world time is a currency and they both are connected with the blood, and for me it was a really fascinating and interesting mechanic, and it's simple. In this book it's not so present. I don't know what to say, it's really disappointing. The next book I'll show you is Letters from Father Christmas by John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. Actually, I started this book before Christmas, but then I thought that this was so sweet that I decided to stretch the reading as long as I could. It's a collection of letters from John Ronald Reuel Tolkien to his children, and he impersonated Father Christmas. This book is perfect to bring on the Christmas spirit. It's so sweet, and I think that Professor Tolkien must have been a great father. In these letters, Professor Tolkien described adventures taking place in the North Pole against the Goblin, and described also the mischiefs and jokes of the polar bear. And this is also a beautiful edition because it contains the actual illustrations that Professor Tolkien added to each letter. For example, this is from 1932 and they are all so cute and full of details. I highly recommend it. And then I read Defiance by C.J. Redwine, the first book that arrived to me with the Willoughby Book Club. They handpick for you 3, 6 or 12 books based on your tastes. There are many options, the young adult, classics, kitchen books, adult fiction, and many other options you can choose from. And Defiance is the first that arrived to me. I didn't have many expectations, but it turned out to be a good story. My favorite part is that nothing goes as planned. You know, sometimes there are some books in which a group of teenagers make up a complex plan and all goes smooth and well with maybe a few obstacles, but in the end everything works out. In this case, the evil of the story is one step ahead of them each damn time, and so you are sure that something will go terribly wrong. Even in this case we have two points of view, Logan's, the male protagonist, and Rachel's, the female protagonist. She's a badass, and that's good because we never have enough of badass female protagonists. It's just that in this book for me it arrives a slightly wrong message. Rachel feels trapped in her small village and she wants more. In this book women are treated poorly, so we can understand her. But on the other hand, in this book it seems that if a woman likes girly stuff, if her biggest dream is wedding, there's something wrong. And for me that's not right. I believe that every woman is free to desire what she likes, what makes her happy and fulfilled. If a woman desires marriage and to be a housewife, there's nothing wrong, as long as she chooses her destiny. I know that in this book many girls don't have that possibility, but many are happy with what they have. And that's not Rachel's case. The wrong point is that men believes they are superior. The villain of this story treats women as trash, and that's wrong. I'm sure that the author didn't intend to write the message as I perceived it, and I'm sure that sooner or later I'll buy the sequel. Definitely I'm curious to know the end of this. I hope I was clear with my explanation, because this is a very important point for me and I was very captured in the moment, so I hope I'm making some sense. The last book I read in January is an Italian title. I don't know if there is an English translation. If there is, I leave the cover here and the link in the info box down below. I'm talking about Come una rana d'inverno. I'm going to speak of this book anyways because for me it's very important. All of you will know that on the 27th of January we celebrate the Holocaust Memorial Day. My words are not enough to describe the horrors that happened. It's a topic that really touches me, and in my opinion witnesses are crucial. We tend to forget the most awful part of our history because we are ashamed, of course, and we also tend to repeat our mistakes. I just want to say that these horrible things can happen anytime, and everything started small with hate and fear for what was different. Please read and reflect about it. It's important not to forget. In this case, in this book, there are 4 witnesses of 4 women survived to the concentration camp of Auschwitz-Birkenau, and they were so young. I can't even start to describe the horror. This book made me cry, and again I say that you should read about the topic, you should know more, we must not forget. And that's all for my January wrap-up. Let me know if you read some of these books and what you think about them. If you're interested in a specific title, please let me know in the comments down below, and maybe I'll film for you a complete review. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Let me know also in the comments down below what was your favorite January reading, and see you next time. Bye!